the Sports Jedi Network with just reaction to NXT Live from Rhode Island, where the main event, Mike Santana wins, beats Joe Henry. Kind of say number one contender. What's up, Chris? Why did you like TNA, the main event?
I like the main event tonight, man. I think
As you're muted there for a moment. Go ahead.
anytime we get TNA live is a treat. They don't go live much, so it's a real treat when they do go live. We get to see how the show flows a little bit more, a little bit behind the scenes stuff. So, but other than that, the main event, no, it was good. It was good. It could have went either way. At first second, I really thought Joe Hendry was going to win that match. But I thought they did a really a good job for them doing an Impact Live when they haven't done one in a while. We know they did Slammiversary, which was a live show on Sunday, but a taped episode of their show, they don't really do much. So it was good to see. Anytime they do that, it's a treat.
Don't forget that hit that like, subscribe. Of course, that we are calling ourselves the unofficial podcast of DNA, watch alongs, and more. The Sports Jedi Network. Let's go right into we talked about that main event. What's next for Mike Santana? We're a bunch of guys who are happy. Not 100%, but at least he got that opportunity. I personally would love to see him wrestle Obafemi and take the NXT men's title right now. And if they're not going to take Trick and let Trick continue working, and then unification as Bound for Glory, whatever, title for title, the same way they had at Slammiversary. But we will see. I don't think that's going to happen, but indulge me here. One of the big things here, we start off the show with the tribute to Hulk Hogan, USA champ broke out. We get into a recap of Slammiversary. I thought, all in all, the production of the show was very done well. Just the opening shots, they started implementing the drone from outside the college in Rhode Island, coming into the arena earlier in the day. Beautiful shot. Beautiful campus for TNA, the building, the arena. The venue looked really good. There was a few empty seats, but you cannot help on a Thursday night after Slammiversary. Maybe some people were like, I'm not going because Mike would have won. I wonder if Mike would have won, how much more people, maybe a couple more hundred. But only we will never know, Chris, on that. But all in all, visually wise, how did you like that arena look?
I thought it looked good. Impact their shows. We're not expecting a big crowd. Slammiversary. I don't know why. Bound for Glory. Yes, for us TNA diehards is the big show, but they just got, to me, that's the biggest show they're gonna do this year. So I know a lot of people could say from going from 7,000 to probably a little over 1,000 tonight, if that, um, could be something, but they're getting started again. That was a test to see what's in the future. We know they're going to get a TV deal in the next 30, 60 to 90 days. Multiple of their talents already confirmed that on area Hawaii, including President Silva himself. So I think they're testing to see what arena looks good on TV, what doesn't. If they should keep doing those smaller size venues and maybe book another UBS type of arena. Down the future this year, maybe after Bound for Glory towards the end of the year, when things get flowing. But I thought the venue looked really good on TV, especially when they're in those small venues. Any wrestling company, it's gonna look really packed and good on TV. So they did a good job with the production and the location tonight for a rare live show.
Okay, I like that. I like that because we all know that Emergence will be in Baltimore, followed by Victory Road in Edmonton, and then Bound for Glory will be, I believe it's in Lowell, Massachusetts, and then after that, we don't, it's November pay per view. Don't It's usually a Steven Seagal type of pay per view, Hard to Kill or something like that, Out for Justice, and then Final Resolution in December, which I think a little birdie was telling me might be in Orlando or in the Florida area. I don't know. Little birdie was saying that they're going to finish the year possibly down here in my neck of the woods. No, don't hold your breath on that one. It's not 100% confirmed, but I heard a little bit of rumblings there. To be surprised there. But we start off the show with the director of authority Santino coming out, cut a hell of a promo. It felt tonight that they were rallying the troops with Santino Marella saying that he went himself to NXT. He has a match with Ethan Page for the North American title. Out comes Marsha Slamovich. Marsha Slamovich wants a rematch clause against JC Jane, and that she's going to get granted for next week. Marsha Slamovich, JC Jane for that women's title, for the Knockouts title. I don't see Marsha returning as champion next week. I think retaining for JC Jane. One thing that busted open, or Tommy Dreamer mentioned yesterday on Up at the Dark, kind of stooge. Masha's working under no contract with so she's working, not a fully contracted TNA wrestler. So that had me a little bit raised my eyebrow, had me worried there. We know she has that match in Bloodsport against Natalia at this next weekend for SummerSlam, but tomorrow, the next week is going to be her taking on JC Jane. Then we get the system coming out, a little bit rally with the system. Moose, everyone talking. Eddie Edwards started about he's one of the OGs. He's one, the crowd chanted TNA. I love that the crowd was very vibrant, very loud. The rally call with every member of the system and the crowd and everyone's letting you know that the TNA locker room is united. They're not divided at all, and they're going to unite together to try to get these TNA titles back from the NXT talent. I like that opening here with all those. Before we get the interruption, what's your thoughts on the first Masha? Your thoughts on Masha and then the system?
So Masha, yeah, it is a little, I don't want to say disappointing, but it is, interesting that she did lose that championship match. And it's also interesting that she's getting her rematch clause right away, probably tonight as they're taping it. That's gonna air next Thursday. So that raises an eye. We know, from history that anytime they do one of those live tapings like that, it's kind of hard because again, we could potentially see spoilers. We kind of already predict, kind of know what's going to happen already without having to watch. Again, that's one of the things that Kev has alluded to that kind of hurts TNA a little bit. I'm not a big fan of giving it right away. I understand you get a rematch clause, but you don't. There's Joe Hendry didn't get his rematch clause right away, just like Masha did. I mean, it felt like really easy. And just to do it on a taped episode on Thursday, that raises an eye about Masha. And that raises an eye about JC Jane continuing to be this Knockouts champion under the NXT umbrella. So I'm a little bit curious to see how that's going to go. Obviously, I know JC Jane's going to win, but I wonder if maybe Ash by Elegance and they start that. But the thing is, if they do that, I don't understand where's next for Masha. So Masha's a little bit in a weird situation to me, in my opinion. Obviously, she still has her independent bookings with all that stuff, but again, that's not really what she's supposed to be doing. So that's that about Masha. And then the system coming out, it's different, Kev, because guess the system, they want to be a little different now. They want to be baby faces.
Yes.
Which they've been heels for a long time, and I think that's good. I think TNA doesn't really have that babyface faction. You have those heel tag teams with the Nemets and First Class, and even with the system before. I think it's good that you have that because now if you want to technically count First Class and Trick Williams as a faction heel, you have Dark State who's interfering with NXT heel. I mean, I guess you can count Myers and but there's still, what I'm saying, like there's still heel, but this is going to balance that out with the baby faces and heels. So I like that. I think it's different. Moose, there's obviously speculation with his recent tweets on Twitter, maybe retirement, some injuries. He's day to day. It seemed, this was live, so this wasn't taped. So we know now that maybe he might stick around for a little bit and try to get the system over as a baby face, because reality, he is the best and most well-known member of that group. So we're gonna have to see where that plays out. But for that part of the show with the system, I like that they're becoming baby faces, balances out the roster with heels and baby faces, and it's something new for them. Eddie Edwards as a baby face, Moose as a baby face, JDC as a baby face. That's even Alicia Edwards, but to potentially a baby face. So that's going to be curious to see for the next couple of weeks.
Yep. See, and Moose takes the microphone, calls out the TNA World Champion Trick Williams, in a promo, heartfelt, calling him out. Pretty much calling his shot. Then, of course, you say his name and not Joe Henry, but Trick Williams comes out with First Class, Casey Navarro, accompanied by AJ Francis. Looked like they've been continue that storyline because let's face it, they endeared themselves with Trick. helped them screw Mike Santana at the Performance Center. Also,
Yes.
that relationship and friendship continues, which I like it. I personally like it because Trick does need a little bit of allies in TNA, and you don't want to saturate it with a lot of TNA, with a lot of NXT talent every Thursday night because it still is TNA TV. They only have 2 hours in this tape. You don't want to saturate it with a lot of NXT talent on the
Yes.
show. So I like the fact that Casey Navarro joined in with it. And we're gonna go move on here when interrupting that. And he talked about the system. He talked about the Order 4. And out of nowhere, Order 4 comes out with Mustafa Ali. And what's going on, Mets? How are you?
I'm okay, but can I get something off my chest in regards to how Slammiversary paid out first?
Um, we kind of passed it, but go ahead because we want to try to cut this quick. But go ahead.
What happened at Slammiversary is one of my biggest gripes with TNA. Their constant failures to strike when the iron is hot. Don't believe me? Think back to the early days. 2004, they bring in Jeff Hardy, give him a couple of NWA World Title shots, and Jeff Jarrett buries him. 2005, Monty Brown is the hot commodity. What do? One title match where he gets hit with 3 strokes, loses, and then 2 months later they turn him into Jeff Jarrett's lackey. And by 2006, he's gone. 2007, 3 times they had a chance to put the belt on Samoa Joe. All 3 times they didn't do it. But by the time he did get it at Lockdown the following year, did anyone care? No.
Let's hope that they didn't pigeon themselves. They learn from their history. Different creative, completely, but same results. The LOL TNA, like they say there. Well, let's see where that goes. I'm personally disappointed that Mike didn't win, but let's see how that plays out.
I'm just saying this. With the belt and Santana bound for glory, or there will be consequences.
We'll see because listen, he's from the Bronx. There is no connection with the Bronx and Lowell, Massachusetts. We'll see where they go with that. They really got to make that feel special. I don't know how, but you know what? We have to trust creative going forward with that one here. When then Mustafa Ali and the Order 4 comes out, and it just leads to a mayhem brawl with all fashion groups. It was fashion war at the
Warfare.
arena, Warpath, and what is that leading up to? We don't know. It could be a War Games type of deal, or we already saw Border Wars when it came to TNA versus United States versus Canada. Do they do something for TNA down the road for Victory Road, because that is a Victory Road? Maybe they set that up where they don't have to pigeon the world titles at the moment, and they could prolong and linger for Santana to win the world title, or vice versa, JC Jane or Trick. Maybe they do that border war where they start adding some more teams, and we'll see how that goes there. They go into a commercial break. We have a Eric Young promo in the back with his group, Kid Icarus and Judas. They both talked about he needs to do it himself, where he looks like he's ready to unhinge, but I feel bad for his group. We have the Knockouts 6-woman tag match. You have the Iconics with a mystery partner taking on the Elegance brand, Maggie, Ash, and Heather. Out come Marie Sade, formerly known as Jakara Jackson. Don't know if she's fully signed with TNA. A lot of times they do a lot of one-offs, or for a couple of copy. I don't know what's the full length of the contract, but all in all, great to see Jakara Jackson in TNA, at least for Mariah Sade. Even if it was tonight on a live event, live. Chris, what you thought of Mariah Sade? You enjoyed seeing her?
Yeah. I enjoyed seeing her. Hopefully, I don't think it's going to be a one-off. I think she deserves to be on a big platform. I don't think AEW is good for her. She has the experience going on with TNA, so anytime they get a new knockout and a high profile, like, that's pretty good. So,
All right,
me personally, it's nice, but I think it's just, even if she's there long term to help the Iconics, or rather as they're calling TNA, the Inspiration, get the Knockouts title off, the tag titles off the Elegance brand. Probably going to happen at Emergence at worst, at the soonest, at the latest it happens at Victory Road. I don't see this stretching out until Bound for Glory.
Oh, we'll see, because we can't have all these titles changing like hot potato. They want to have some continuity there.
I know. I'm just saying,
I don't know.
Held the belts since Sacrifice.
Yeah, they've been there for a while. We'll find out if Ash by Elegance. They didn't mention one iota a lot today on the show that she is the number one, rightfully number one contender for winning that battle royal. I don't know if they're trying to make us forget about it, but Ash is the number one contender. So I
I
don't
ain't
know
forgetting
what
about that.
I haven't forgot about it
I
either,
haven't
but we'll
forgot
see where
about it.
that
That
goes.
We talked
actually
about
has,
it.
that actually has slipped my mind. But if I had to guess, they'll let Ash take her shot at Emergence. It's gonna blow me at this at with August around the corner. At the soonest, they let her get that shot at Emergence. At the latest, just for the fact because that Ash FK Dana Brooke is a WWE alum, they throw her the bone and give her the shot at Heatwave. And either way, she screws it up.
Okay, we'll can see where that goes for her. We'll find out there. Speaking of coming, Leon Slater. Leon Slater comes out with the title. Talks about his moment with AJ Styles, how great of a moment that was. He calls out the Hardys, and they talked about their come out with their titles, rallying again with all and Macklin. So they're rallying the troops, those mid card or tag team champions, rallying together those four men. We thought it was an opportunity for Dark State to turn off the lights and try to invade. But I'm glad that they did it because tonight was about rallying TNA and raising the TNA. And we heard that arena going bananas and crazy for the TNA chants. That's what we wanted. I don't know if you bring the Dark State, do you dare someone to start doing some NXT chant? That's the last thing you wanted to do on live TV. You wanted to keep the night focusing on TNA chants. And I understand why they didn't bring out here. This was a fun match here. It kind of was the number one contender for the international champion Jake something versus Mance Warner. No holds barred, no disqualification. It was just a car wreck. Chris, your thoughts on that match between those two gentlemen?
No, good match. Car wreck. Good match for the Impact to set up for the main event. Those guys didn't get a chance to shine at Slam. So happy they got their chance to shine tonight in a live crowd on TV.
Great.
On
Agreed. Especially when you consider basically their squabbling cost them their match against Real One's group at Slammiversary.
Right. And how do you feel about no table? It was all ladders, thumbtacks.
that's fun with me.
I did. You know, not every
I
match
mean,
needs a ladder. I mean, a
That's
table.
fun. I mean, we saw that at Slammiversary with the Hardys. So
Okay.
and having to go 60s Batman with the way that match ended. A rope ladder?
That
it was. I
something
thought it was really cool though, if because we were in the arena, and the arena was really cool, and it's something different, hasn't been done before yet. So
no, it
I
was
don't. I
something
didn't
different.
mind it.
I thought it was something different. I liked it. I like again. I want to see where Jake something goes with this. I think, like Heather said in the chat, he really needed the victory for Jake something. He looks menacing. You know, the thumbtack spot still looked it awesome on television. It was still violent, and of course, for Mance Warner, it doesn't really hurt him. I want to see they return back a little more Sammy Callahan. Do they team up maybe because they've been a little bit of a down on their luck. Who knows when it happens to Mance Warner as well as Sammy Callahan, Eric Young. You got a nice mid card with veterans for TNA that I kind of enjoy seeing where that goes, and hopefully they book them strong here. Speaking of booking strong, we get your Knockouts champion and your NXT Women's champion. JC Jane comes out with Fatal Influence. I thought she cut a freaking hell of a promo, just talking about all the women there in the locker room, how much over she is. JC Jane continues to knock it out of the park with her mannerisms, her promos. And listen, I've said it before. I see a lot of similarities with HBK when he was coming up with JC Jane, and I see a lot of influence of Shawn Michaels coaching this young woman. I don't know if you see that, Mets.
Yes and no. I mean, if you're talking like Click era Michaels, perhaps I see some of it, but it comes off more like DX era Michaels, and that was not a fun time for anybody. Which is why I'm hoping that come down for glory that at this point it's going to be Indy that knocks JC off the perch and rescues the Knockouts title.
Indy, there was a backstage promo with Indy Hartwell. Victoria Crawford interrupted. First, Danny Nuna interrupted, and of course, then Victoria Crawford. To me, it looks like Victoria needs an ally. It looks to me like it's going to be Jody Threat joining Alexa Fox, taking on these two ladies in the Hartwell. They're just going to prolong this because Tessa's out with the suspension. But I said this before, don't rule out Tessa interfering in that North American title with and Santino Morella on NXT with Ethan Page. She's suspended from an NXT. She's suspended from TNA, but not from the Performance Center.
So basically, exploit a loophole and then set up a rematch between her and Indy at Emergence.
Or Santino has no choice but to reinstate her so Indy could get get her hands on her for in the honor of Santino Morella. The only way she can do that by reinstating her back in TNA.
I mean, we can all agree TNA opened Pandora's box, bringing Tessa back.
And which way?
That you're bringing all of her ex's baggage, the bad attitude, how much of an entitled shrew she is.
I'm gonna tell you something. Me and Chris had the honor on Saturday to be at a softball game with the whole TNA brand. They had their hair loose, like they say. Part of our credentials and media. Tessa was a wonderful citizen, very friendly. Everyone was talking to her. She wasn't in her own island. She didn't do running the bases. She had a designated base runner, whatever. But she was, and she did her heel work because she's who she is. She kept a little bit of kayfabe. But to me, the way see a lot of people go to her, and you could tell genuine when someone's liked by their first exchange of hellos. A lot of hugs, a lot of kisses, a lot of warmth, embrace for Tessa. So is that a stereotype that the IWC has for her? I don't know. I don't know her. But when we saw from my eyes test, at least that group that was there at the softball game, they were very friendly and lovable to Tessa. So I don't know. And then we had a wrestler last night that came on and told me she was a sweetheart, a piece of honey. So I don't know what mixed reaction is. I'm going by what people tell me. Chris, you saw Tessa. Am I saying so? Did I see something different?
Nope. I saw everything you saw.
So we'll see when it comes for her. Maybe she, like I said, she did not run the bases in that softball game. Could be an injury or a pull string, a hamstring. I don't know. But let's go into the main event. We talked about it a little bit there. Mike Santana winning. Joe Henry. This match was back and forth, seesaw. It got us on the edge of the seat where we thought that maybe he might have lost. Mike Santana. I thought the crowd still behind Joe Henry. You could still hear with your ears that crowd is still behind Joe Henry. He's still over. Mike Santana got We Want Mike. I think it's going to happen is whenever city they're in, I think they're going to listen to see if Mike still has the support or Joe. What do you think, Mets?
I could see that, but for me at this point, as I've said in the past, the Joe Hendry thing was less about Joe building up TNA and more about building up himself. Santana, on the other hand, is about trying to build up both himself and the company.
Okay.
I mean, you look at those multiple cameos Joe Hendry had in NXT and WWE and the WWE and the Royal Rumble and that 3-minute moment where he got basically stomped by Randy Orton at WrestleMania. It just felt more like he was building his own stock and not TNA's by just being the punching bag.
Interesting.
I said what I said. I think if he would have lost this match, I would have been worried. He won the match. We've talked about it so much about what if ever since he lost. I think they're gonna have us wait like they did with Joe Hendry, right? People wanted him to win it earlier, and then when he finally won it at Genesis, nobody gave that much of a shit as they would have if they would have.
It was the same thing I referenced with the Samoa Joe example.
And they're still, and Matt, I know what you're talking about, and they're still doing that to this day. So I think we're just gonna have to wait until Bound for Glory. To at this point, that's with this win, that Santana has. That's why I told Kev earlier. I want to see I want to see the end of this match before I really say anything. Now that the results happen, yeah, I think they're building him back up again for Bound for Glory. And like you said, they don't do it for Bound for Glory. I'm gonna be very upset.
Be disappointed. They lost an opportunity there. With it again. Here's the one thing though I did appreciate. I thought Undertaker was gonna come out in this whole show on TNA. I'm glad he didn't because tonight was really about TNA. The story of tonight was rallying the locker room, coming out, all for one for all. They're hell bent to be unified, especially except for that order for that group, that fashion warfare there. but
and
still,
First Class and Frankie Kazarian, all of whom are in Trick's pocket.
it seems like they align themselves there. That means I could see a program with Joe Henry and Frankie Kazarian where Joe Henry kind of takes Kazarian out of the picture, so open the doors for Santana to go ahead and win. So you saw that embrace with the handshake. I think there's going to be more storyline there where he's going to get the respect and the Avenger part. I kind of want to say it felt like Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes when Brock shook the hand of Cody Rhodes to go forward. That's what I kind of felt that if they want a copycat and say that the finisher story with Mike Santana, I kind of felt that here with Joe and Mike Santana, with similar to Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes. So I know all in all, this was a very quick, fun TNA tonight. Very fun, quick, not a dull moment. I like the tribute to Hulk Hogan in the beginning of the show. Great job. It would have been cool. Back from commercials, little Hulk Hogan highlights. You know what? You could debate about it, but I think WWE is going to do that on Friday Night SmackDown, and maybe they don't want to step over their boundaries and just show, take all Hulk Hogan. Although he did wrestle and was a big part of TNA entity in his library, but we'll see how that goes. But this is your Slammiversary. We wanted to try something different, review it a little bit over 25 minutes. We want to thank everyone. We'll be back on for Friday Night SmackDown, and we say, guys, have a good night, Chris. Thank you. You got it, man. So have a good night, guys. Thank you again, and lo vemos